colleagues and friends, I'm going to read my bit about Bona, and then we end up at the end with a prayer by Robert. Okay? So, remembering Bona, and I'll try and race through it very quickly.
Put it on the tie.
Thank you very much. Yes, yeah. I mean, we heard wonderful presentation this morning about the political background of Bona and his involvement into government of Sudan and South Sudan. But this is my own take briefly, not in details. So I came to know Bona for over 40 years. We shared discussion of the present and memories of the past. To him, the past was essential in understanding the present. He always said, "Namshi lilwara, narja lilwara, namshi lilwara," means we go back on history. We shared happy and sad times. We shared traveling together, and I'm grateful for his hospitality and care when I stayed with him in Juba, Wau, and Turali. Bona was endowed with integrity, perseverance, and modesty. He was an open-minded and forgiving person. He traveled widely, and it was a pleasure to listen to his amusing reflection and stories on the country he visited and the leaders and people he met. You only know about China when he went to China, wonderful stories. Now, I met Bona at the Grand Hotel in Khartoum. I was introduced by an artist, and that was in 1966. At the time, he was the editor of The Vigilant newspaper, a publication expressing the views of South Sudanese regarding their future. At the same time, the first civil war conducted by the Anyanya was in progress. The atmosphere was tense, and I remember at that time I was teaching at the University of Khartoum, and the police, the Secret Service, really were pursuing Southern Sudanese. I was with, we were at a party, I remember, with Natali Akalowin. He was teaching law at the university, and we were told the police on their way. And in fact, they came and disrupted the whole evening, so we had to go back. So the atmosphere was tense. The active Southern Sudanese were pursued by the government. Bona was an ardent advocate of self-determination, which was highlighted for South Sudan to decide whether to aim for independence or to remain within the Sudan. The government of Sudan and the SPLA of South Sudan, SPL, reached an impasse. That's really Bashir and Garang. This reached an impasse in the Second Civil War, and Bona, as a presidential advisor, as well as John Garang, were instrumental in convincing al-Bashir that the only way forward was to hold a referendum in the South to determine their future. We continued to see each other occasionally, Bona and myself, at the Grand Hotel or at the homes of friends of the North. It was under Nimeri's regime that South Sudan was granted regional autonomy in 1972, which has been highlighted, and Bona was appointed a Minister of Information and Culture. His relationship with Nimeri was not an easy one. He always highlighted that. On one hand, he became a kind of roving ambassador to Nimeri, and on the other hand, he was critical of the regime policies. He and his close friend, Dr. Bashir Abbadi, whom we have heard this morning, accompanied Nimeri on a visit to China. He confronted Nimeri over the imprisonment of Ibrahim al-Salahi, an artist who lives in Oxford, who was released on the intervention of Bona. He was released, but Nimeri never forgot that. So he imprisoned Bona for 14 months and then released. And after the collapse of Nimeri's regime, Bona went into exile and came to live in Oxford. We saw each other frequently, and with the foremost anthropologists who done work on the Dinka, Godfrey Lillehammer. I invited him to talk to Newcastle University while I was teaching. He enjoys the trip, and particularly the arrangement made for him at the hotel. I took him to the hotel near our home, and the woman, she said, "How tall are you?" So he said, "I am 6 foot something." He said, "Well, our bed is only allowed for 5'9". She said, oh, don't worry, sir. We will make arrangement, don't worry. So we went, we had dinner at home, we came back. What did we see? The single bed made into double. She said you could sleep diagonally. Honestly, he says could sleep diagonally. But he said also for precaution, they put another bed at the end. She said in case his legs, his feet goes out, at least they were resting on the other. So it was really very interesting. They had a very good talk with the Sudanese community there. So, but he came to write most of his work here in Oxford as a senior associate member of the college. His flat, Bono lived in Russell Court and then in Hensel flat. So the flat became really a center of socialization for his friend from Sudan, South Sudan, politician, academic, businessman, friends, and from other parts of the world too. While in exile, Bono established, being said, the Sudan Democratic Gazette, and which ceased when Sudan really became independent. So in 2005, the ceased publication. Now, he became advisor to al-Bashir, and he was people are critical of him. How on earth a Southern Sudanese with that history and background, you could work with al-Bashir? But Bono always said, yes, without me as Southern Sudanese, the North would not act as Bashir did. We convinced al-Bashir as Southern Sudanese, and of course John Garang was fighting at that time, that the only way forward and to save the Sudan and South Sudan is to agree for a referendum. And that was done. So from 2005, 6 until 2011, when South Sudan became independent after referendum, Bono executed his duties to the best of his abilities as a civil servant and as a ministerial position. His house in Khartoum was a focal point for Northerners as well as Southerners. His advice and support were sought by both. But when South Sudan became independent, Bono decided to retire from politics, despite offers to join the newly established government of South Sudan, which was dominated by the SPLA-M. He moved between Oxford, Juba, Wau, Turali, and Mulban, where he was born in Bahr al-Ghazal. During his time as presidential advisor, Bono, Anis Hajar, and I decided to establish the Sudanese program in 2002 at St. Antony's College with the support of the Middle East Center, where we are, and the Africa Study Center. The program organized many conferences, workshops, lectures, and Bono and Anis played an important role in recommending the speaker from Sudan and South Sudan. As a moral imperative, we decided not to accept any financial donation from the two Sudan's government. This principle has been followed until the present time. The booklet, which we published twice, and we hope to put a third one this year, illustrate the range of topic and speaker from the two Sudan, from outside these two countries. Bono and Anis and I decided to launch the program as a charity, which was achieved 2019, and subject to the UK Charity Commission. The constitution of the charity specifies that the program is about politics, religion, and ethnicity. That's to say, it is neutral. Further, we also decided to change the title from the Sudan program to the Sudanese program as a result of the establishment of South Sudan state. The common denominator are people, Sudanese rather than countries, Sudan and South Sudan. We elected trustees, and among them Bakul, to succeed his father. Bono's advice and suggestion for themes and speaker were extremely valuable to us, and we were grateful for his support and dedication. Bono, Francis Deng, Angelo Vega, and others embarked on conducting a national dialogue, which has been said. Now, this was undertaken, let me say, for better political representation and understanding the problems and the needs of the people of South Sudan. recommendations were made, and deliberations of the Committee of National Dialogue were published. Let us hope that the efforts of Bona in particular and others will be translated into policies and actions rather than locked away in drawers, as I said earlier. Bona was generous to the fault, warm, friendly, and he lacked malice. He gave impartial advice to the best of his ability. I have experienced these qualities by being with him in Sudan, South Sudan, and in the UK. Bona was also a family man who devoted himself to the education and well-being of his family. They are a credit to him and are testament to his dedication. There are a number of places where Bona, some close friends, Tayyib Saleh, Muhammad Al-Hassan Ahmed, Hassan Tajid, Sir, and others, and used to meet in Khartoum in the homes of friends for breakfast or lunch and in hotels. Now, Bona was very central in these meetings. He related history, advice, and amusing stories, and we were attentive to the narratives he always telling us. Breakfast and lunches could go on for 3 hours or more. These were important social circles, which we enjoyed and cherished. Bona often became animated during these gatherings, and you see his gesticulation in these photographs. Furthermore, proverbs, jokes, stories, reflection on the past, and particularly the Mary period of government. The Sudanese program has undertaken substantial events over the years, as some you may have seen in the booklet or on the website. The trustees work for the program voluntarily. However, its finances are gradually decreasing in view of the rising costs and charges. If the program is to continue serving Sudanese and South Sudanese without favor or prejudice, then help is needed to support future activity and can be donated in memory of Bona. I say to the family, Al-Baraka Fikum, and may Bona's soul rest in eternal peace. We regard Bona as part of our family. He will be remembered always with affection and admiration, and he will be much missed by his family, by his many friends. Sudan and South Sudan have lost a remarkable person whose legacy will live on for generations to come. Thank you.